tropism, which is the tendency to grow toward a light source. To maximize photosynthesis, the outer branches and leaves of the tree grow outward and upward toward the sun, creating a rounded shape.
And that's what our hair is. And look, that's why like fur 6 ether it go down. When it come out the hair and it go down. But 9 ether it go up towards the sun. Doc had broke this down too in that same book where you found that other piece.
Man ether, yep.
Yeah.
And, that's the science of man ether, I think is the name of that scroll.
Yeah. Yeah. So like you can see the resemblance of our hair and how it's nature. Our hair is a part of nature. And it grows towards the sun. The sun is pulling it up instead of like 6 ether going down, right? Here's some more pictures of just our different hairstyles and representing in Mother Nature right here. The afro is the most prominent one as far as the trees, but like it depends on even with like I'm gonna tell you something else, Raw. Even in certain areas where people wear their hairstyle a certain way, if you look at the trees resemble those hairstyles. Like even in Jamaica, in certain areas, like you got more of a jungle, dreadlock looking type trees.
Yeah, which is commonly called they species of ferns that you're speaking of. But they like some of them grow like a big tree instead of a bush plant. But yeah, you got different trees that represent different hair patterns. Like the big locks represented by the flat leaves of the palm tree. You ever see the big fat locks?
Yeah, the big
fat lock. Yeah, it looked like more like a mat than a lock. Yeah, that's palm. Those represent palm leaves.
Fire.
Which is a whole lot of metaphysics tied to that. Roticorn.
All right, so I predicted that because we talking about the afros, right? So I noticed that about around 1970, they came out with the Jerry curl, right? The Jerry curl that was invented in 1970 by American Hair Care Enterprise, Jerry Redian, and popularized in the 1980s within the Black community by entrepreneur Cartel. So like what I'm getting at is when they saw how powerful we was with the afros, because they was during the time of the Black Panther movement, all of our movements that were building self-awareness and pretty much doing for self. And our hair is antennas. It's another slide there for to explain that. But they came out with that Jerry curl. What you think about that, Rob? When we was Black Power with the afros, they countered that with the Jerry curl. I believe they countered it with the Jerry. That's what Doc said too, though. What you think about the Jerry curl?
The Jerry curl was, we always knew how to change the texture of our hair. When you go back to Malcolm's biography, talk about when he got conked. Remember conk? Conk was a mixture of egg whites and lye. That's why a lot of the dark-skinned tribes look like they got 6 ether hair. Because they was conking it. But that's because they was identifying with other dark tribes that had the naturally 7 ether hair, which was big waves that fell down like Chief Warhorse hair. Right? So we always knew how to change our hair's texture. The Jerry curl was a revival of the early 20s conking movement, which traces all the way back into Mississippian culture. Because if a man married into a straight hair tribe and he had an afro, he had to know how to conk. Because the straight hair people didn't know how to tend to the 9 ether hair. But by conking it, they know how to manage the 6 ether hair or the 7 ether hair better than the 9 ether hair. But it was also tied, your hair is tied to a receiver in your brain to translate the information around you into comprehensive knowledge that you can use. Medusa didn't have snakes in her head. She had dreadlocks, or what we called sacred locks back then. In the sacred locks, a lot of the ones who wore them was able to shoot electromagnetic, what we call it static electricity today.
Mm-hmm.
They knew how to snap their locks and make them shoot that static electricity in a destination or a location, and it was like being struck by an electric eel.
Makes sense.
The energy was the same as being struck by an electric eel. But for us to never study the dread or the locks, they told us that she had snakes in her hair. The Jerry curl was a cultural phenomenon to embellish the natural self-hate of the oppressed and to utilize hair products to express the rage or the rebellion. Right? Jerry curl wasn't the only one, because all it is an extension of the conking culture of something that we already knew how to do. It was, you used to have to go to New Orleans, wherever you was on the land, to get conked. That's a FYI.
You know what? That makes sense what you're saying, because I see pictures now that when you start talking about it, my mind started flashing back to all the pictures that I seen of the old Mississippians and how they looked and how their hair looked. And I'm thinking that when you look at his hairstyle or look at the wig party, when these guys came over with the wigs, after the Dirty Moors, right? After the Dirty Moors front man, they came over and started putting the wigs on. And the wigs resemble like a curl. And this right here before 1970s, right? So, but then you got another group that paints these the 1970 agenda to get rid of the Afro power, So what do you think about that? Like the agenda to get rid of the Afro, the soul glow, let your soul glow.
Well, we always did stuff with our hair. If you look through the ancient, whether they're hieroglyphs, whether it's the pottery and petroglyphs of the Americas, you always see us, the men and the women, doing different types of adornments with our hair. You had a whole wig collection discovered in temples of Cairo because we invented the wig. It was part of priestly garb. See, when you was a pharaoh, or not the pharaoh is actually the lady of the house, the AI, right? When you were the AI, which they commonly point to as the pharaoh, but he's the pharaoh's husband, because the pharaoh is the lady of the house.
Right.
So when he come out, he might have headdress on.
Right.
It's a pomp and circumstances. So he might change based on the ritual. So it's best for him to shave everything off and only wear the ceremonial expression of the energy in wig form instead of letting his own personal hair grow. He can then do multiple ceremonies a year without having to worry about having his hair done over or her hair done over in the case of Hatshepsut, because she used to wear wigs over her hair. And so it was all about telling a story to the people in your appearance, right? So when I play the character Rod the Madman, I'm showing you the distress of our people in my appearance while I'm telling the story, which gives you a visual aid, and it causes the intellectual bridge between your right and left brain hemispheres.
Can you see that, Rod?
Hair can function like a biological antenna, not just physically by detecting touch and environment, but also a spiritual antenna in some belief systems to absorb and transmit energy and information from the universe. Now you see where it's a transmit, right? Energy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's describing when Medusa is shooting them with her hair. She's emitting energy from her hair. Right now, while scientifically hair consists of dead keratin cells, its connection to the skin's sensory nerves. Remember, I said the hair got connections that go straight to the brain. Allows it to act as a sensitive touch receptor, warning of danger or environmental changes. Culturally and spiritually, many traditions view hair as a conduit for spiritual energy. A conduit is something that translates something from one state into a whole different state. In this case, a spiritual conduit into the physical environment, right? To say, with some believing long hair enhances this connection, aiding intuition and spiritual development. And that's why my father had to tell me about my great grandma having her hair down past her ankles and dragging on the floor. That's a sign of rank in the tribal system. And this is why my mama used to have a fit when my sisters, especially my baby sister, cut her hair. Because now when she on the land and other tribes see her, they won't know her rank because she keep cutting her hair. Right? And her hair at one point was down to her butt when she was a little girl. But when she got to be older, she decided to cut it. And my mama was having a conniption about it, and she didn't know why. And at the time, I didn't think she'd listen to me for me to explain it to her. And I still don't.
Hey, this part right here talking about the perm. That's what I was gonna ask you about the perm. So Raw, do you think women should still do perms? Because it's a lot of chemicals in the perm that like.
Look, I don't care what nobody do with their physical self.
Okay, go ahead.
You can take care of yourself or don't take care of yourself. That ain't none of my business.
Go ahead.
If people got enough sense to know what they putting on their hair or on their skin, if they got enough sense that they should have read the bottle and seen what it was and they didn't, then they deserve everything to come with that. If you don't know what you're putting in your stomach and you keep getting sick, you're supposed to until you figure out what it is making you sick. Right? We don't tell from undergrowth and development. Remember, my chief Larry Hoover. We don't micromanage people's life. We try to help people enhance how they live their life by giving them information that they didn't have before they met one of us.
That sounds good.
Right? In growth and development, we don't see the seeds of divide and conquer as our first course of action. Instead, we try to find a common ground to establish an unprejudiced relationship between two people. That's why we don't get into the race discussion, because you got some pale faces more loyal to Larry Hoover than some of his own soldiers that look like him from his background.
Right.
We got one that we used to call white folks. Right? He gonna ride out. He gonna ride harder than any brother. They be seeing him ride and they be like, man, I ain't messing with him. Dude off chain. But he's trying to prove his loyalty harder than everybody else. Right? And he ain't on no, he's sincere. Because his heart's sincere while he's trying to prove himself, if you don't see the sincerity of your heart, you cannot possibly believe anybody was that serious.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see the authenticity, it takes away from what he looked like. And then it judges him on what is his character. Right? So we got a different way that we deal with other people than all the rest of the tribes. But then you have also growth and development black nationalists who look at the politicized version of Afrocentric thought under the banner. They not wrong, because if standing from the position, let's assume that everything they told us is true. What is we supposed to do? We have to cover that base, right? Now, what if everything they told us was a lie? How do we know what to do? So now that's my responsibility. I got to cover that. I got to show you who did it, why they did it, where they did it, when they did it, and how they did it. If I can meet them to explain to you the deception, you should no longer be susceptible to fall for the deceit. If once you done heard the message and you still continuously fall for the deceit, then your desire is to be deceived. Because contrary to popular opinion, more people want to be lied to than told the truth, because the truth hurt.
Think so do.
And the lie massages egos. So they want you to massage their ego with the lie rather than tell them the cold hard truth. And that's most people. If you tell them the truth, most of the time in this era, they say you was talking about them, or you was being mean to them, or that you evil, because you told them the truth, because people scared of the truth. Because then they had to deal with the fact that they pretended that they was going to live this lie without knowing it's a lie, and the whole time, because they didn't tell it to themselves, they allowed the lie to take hold and guide their perception. Right? So the hair and the understanding of cultures become critical aspects of all of our interactions on the land. Humans are pack animals.
That's right.
And the energy of a particular person is going to always establish them as the de facto leader, whether they want to be or not. Because you got the right knowledge and the right energy, and you telling the story from an angle that's different from the norm with the receipts, then people look at you as an outstanding phenomenon, an exception to the rule, and become awestruck, and sometimes can take it celebrity worship to the people revealing the situation to them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fall into celebrity worship, because then you starting to blind yourself again to the truth. You're becoming self-delusional now. You're trying to convince yourself to believe that something outside of you is greater than what's inside of you. And one of the ways you do that is you over sensationalize celebrities. All they are there for is a distraction, to get a low vibrating people something to talk about. At the end of the day, who had to sleep with Jada Pinkett? Will Smith or Chris Rock?
Will Smith.
So whether Will Smith is wrong or right for slapping the slob out of Chris Rock mouth, Chris Rock didn't have to go home with her.
Right.
Chris Rock didn't choose to go home with her. We only care about what we've seen, we don't care about the position of the people that's performing the function. In other words, I understand you're a celebrity, but I want you poor and struggling just like me. Unless they celebrity worshipers. Right? A celebrity worshiper is worse than the one that's the celebrity anchor. Because celebrity anchor wants you to be the celebrity with no compensation for your skill set that you spent your life developing to entertain them. Those are celebrity anchors. And that's the energy that make the celebrity become distant from his fan base. Because a sizable portion of the fan base is haters pretending to be admirers, hating on you under the pretense of admiration. It's the same as what my mama called dry snitching. Alluding to what somebody did to somebody who should be able to figure it out. Man, it wasn't me. I wasn't there with Tone and them. Wait. Who is Tone and them? Oh, no, I'm just saying. I wasn't with nobody. I was by myself. You dry snitching ass motherfucker. Where's Tone and them at?
You already told.
What they tell you before they was going that you decided not to go? Man, I ain't gonna be putting them niggas' business out there like that. You already know how they get down. They known to be stick-up men, so they going to rob something automatically when you say that you dry snitching SOB.
Right.
Same thing, just in a different arena.
Yeah. Hey, Rod, another question. Because we just read that the hair was the antennas, and I noticed that
if hair give us some kind of power, they allude to that fact in the allegory stories in the Bible about Samson and his hair getting cut off, right? And I noticed right around the 60s when we was rocking these afros, we started getting this power. Hey, we finna fight back. Like it's gonna be there was a different type of a different generation of movement with the afro, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, they come out with the perm. Now listen at this. Now Germany, this guy in Germany is the one that put the perm out, right? And there's a lot of stuff that tie in with Germany, like the Adolf Hitler thing, white superiority, and all of this. What if these Germans or somebody else was studying and knew that the hair is our antennas, and knew that, hey, we got to go after these guys' hair, that'll cut them off from universal connection, just like you just read. It'll cut them off. Go ahead, could you go in on that?
Look, a lot of that stuff, they giving them credit for creating the perm in 1906. We was perming our hair 10,000 years ago.
That's right.
They might have rediscovered it, but they didn't invent it. You know, and as far as what Hitler was talking about, he couldn't have been talking about no blind hair, blue Aryan race unless he was talking about Yakub Graf the devil.
Yeah, he on the same page. He was on the same page with it, according to what Doc said. So it seems like these Germans, it's got always got their hands somewhere in the back end on some kind of scientific. But like you say, I know for a fact that we was doing perm way before these guys when you just said it, because I remember the ancestors used to use back in the 1800s. They used to mix potatoes, and some of they show you actually in the movie on how to, in the movie Malcolm X.
That's called conking.
Yeah, conking. That's what it's. Yeah, you already said that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. We've been doing that stuff for thousands of years. Ain't none of that stuff new to us.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to run upstairs out there.
Oh no, you good. Go ahead. Hey, y'all, take a look at this picture right here. This is the 9 ether right here. That now this is the Sands people. You ever see them brothers or them sisters with this type of hair where it's so tight they don't even gotta lock it up, it just automatically kink up like this. That's that real 9 lock
that 9 ether hair right there. Now some people over here got this, and not only this, some of y'all that got the light skinned gene, it don't come from you by. Sometimes it don't even come from you having the pale man mix. It come from these people gene. They got the light skinned gene in them. And so you see them, so a lot of y'all might be light skinned that coming down from the Sands people who was already over here in South America for thousands, maybe even millions of years ago. And I can show proof of that too, that they was down in South America because they're the subside species of these people is in South America right now.
But it's an African presence in early.
Go ahead. Hold on, go back right here. This is what you was at right here. All right.
Yeah. So this is the book on Black root science.
Okay.
When I was telling you earlier, the Black root science ties to 9 ether.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, this book was written way after the one Malachi wrote.
Okay.
Right. But it's telling you from a different explanation the same information.
I wanted to take this book out, Black Root Science. It's like I've seen that book before. All right, this is how.
So this is one of the founding books of the Rasta Nation, right? I'm a little windy from running up and down the stairs.
I like this right here book. The title of this book. Scroll.
This is the Royal Parchment Scroll of Black Supremacy. We're gonna read the back of it in a minute. I wanted people to see it. This is one of the foundational reading or manuals for the Rasta Nation.
Mm.
When they reconstituted the Rastafarian nation, they was also rekindling the old Mau Mau of the West. I use the Mau Mau as the reference from Kenya because the Rasta oath is so similar and they call to arms is so similar to establishing the Mau Mau. I use them as comparative analysis of what I'm talking about. What the Rastas don't put in words, I can use the Mau Mau words, what they put in words to explain the actions that's being taken because they still are people.
I'm about to get this book right here, though. This looks like an interesting book. Because I believe Haile Selassie got our connection with Enlil. I'm telling you. This on my look.
This is the back cover. This is the back cover of the book. Right now, pay attention to the first set line. The grammar is like the senses, which seems to us to be indistinguishable from nonsense. Y'all catch that? The grammar is like the senses, the sense, which seems to be indistinguishable from nonsense. In tribal terms, that means they don't know our language like we do, so they can't quite figure out what we're saying. And the whole concoction is so putrid that we wonder what class of people could ever take such rubbish seriously. They quoting somebody as saying that, I think they're making reference to this particular book, but it say this passage was published by the Gleaner newspaper. So then they telling us where it came from. On the 6th of June, 1927, in reference to the Royal Parchment Scroll of Black Supremacy. Right? This book influenced the Rastafarian leaders of the 1920s. It emphasized Black pride, Black dignity, and Black glory. Leonard Howe used it extensively. The government banned it. The white plantocracy feared it, which is the Society of Plantation Owners. It's the plantocracy. The Black masses loved it and treated it as sacred as the Bible. truly a bold and remarkable writing, especially in Jamaica, where downpression of the people is a way of life. Downpression, y'all, that means to suppress people and hold them back, right? Give thanks to ISIS unto Jah Rastafari.
Fire. And you know what I think, Raw, who wrote that first quote based on the ideology of how
They
it's
just told us. They just told us it was in the newspaper.
yeah, but the Jewish guys was the ones that inserted it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's who owned the newspaper in the 1920s.
Right? you can listen to how they work, how it's worded. That's something that's how they would say it. That's how the Jewish guys would say it.
This is how you know it was written for only certain members of tribes to understand the first sentence. The grammar is like the sense, which seems to us to be indistinguishable from nonsense. And the whole concoction is putrid that we wonder what class of people could ever take such rubbish seriously.
Yeah, that's it's like the Zionist guys.
But remember, when they say that the sense of it is similar to nonsense, they saying they can't make out what they talking about.
Yeah.
That means it's tribally coded to block their ass out, and it makes them confused when they try to figure it out.
Something like a revelation.
Something like a revelation in your dome.
They can't figure They can't figure the riddle out. It's fire.
Oh, this is the Corpus Black supremacy. When I was going through and I seen it, I said, well, I'm going to show this as a reference too, because it's still tied to the African root science, the Black root science, the science of the nine ether, that is gibberish to people that's not nine ether. Right? So go on, roll the corn.
Yeah. So this picture right here is what the Asians like. They say this is Buddha and all these other people, right? But the Chinese don't got hair like that, and like the Asians can't do this with their hair. But our people can do this with their hair. That's how you know we was over there, right? If you look at the hairstyles.
Kinky twist.
Oh, go back. What you say, Rod?
So what we call them, kinky twist.
Yeah.
But that is a statue of the Buddha. That one has the origin of India.
Right.
It's not a Chinese Buddha, but the hairstyle she wearing is not necessarily the same hairstyle, but it could be similar. Hers is twisted, but the hair on the Buddha head could also be 7 ether curls. Right? They would still have to use the same patterning to describe it. The only thing is, if you look, they are in concentric rows and they're not in what we call staggering rows, which means that it's indicating more of a deliberate hairstyle than a haphazard hairstyle. Right? Because the art would have reflected. So by being in linear patterns, and it looked like it's been parted between the sections, indicating that there would be a similar hairstyle to what she's wearing.
Yeah, the reason why I say, because if you look at the little galaxy-looking squirrels right there on her head, and you look at them right here, galaxy-looking squirrels, you can see.
That's the energy harvesting. That's how you learn how to gather the electromagnetic or the static electric energy in your hair and concentrate it and control it.
Now this is Sans, man. If you look at that hairstyle, boy, that's that 9. It's a couple of people over here. Well, a whole bunch of people over here got this hair right here. Right? It was just so tight. Well, they don't even got it. If they don't brush it, it'll lock up like this naturally.
They also don't. That texture of 9 ether doesn't grow very long.
Go ahead.
He don't have to go to the barbershop. That's it for him. He don't need no line. He don't need no fade. He can just leave it just like that from now on, and it's not gonna change.
Yeah, and I noticed they don't grow that much hair on their face neither. I want to go look at
No,
what.
that's right. And half of the tribes over here, the men didn't have grow hair on their face,
Yeah,
and
we
the
did.
ones they did used to shave it mostly clean.
Yeah, that's the only thing. That's what made me question that beard thing. That about the
That's
concept.
only certain tribes. The ones who lived in the colder climates were the ones more likely to grow hair on their face.
Makes sense. Because I know the Hindus don't. The Hindus can't grow hair on their face. The Sands man don't really grow hair on his face. It's like different tribes that don't grow hair. Yeah. So here goes some hair on the Almacs, and you can
Yeah,
see, yeah.
that's what we commonly call either cornrows or dreads. But
Right.
by the patterning of it, it would tell me that it's more likely deliberately braided that way in a cornrow or what we commonly call today French braids rather than a dreadlock. Because the dreadlocks would be also protruding from under his helmet. So it tells me that those people did work with their hair.
It's braids. Those are braids with a beads at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Braids with the beads. And that bead looked like some kind of, or it might be that same little squirrel like it was on his head, like the other person's head, like a braid with a squirrel at the end. Because you remember that other one had looked like that squirrel right there too on their head. All right, so you remember I was telling you about when they were talking about the redhead kings and all this.
Yeah.
All right, so these people right here are the Bantu people. They really the same people. All the people I just showed you really all the same people. These are the Bantu people. They was in America. I'm telling you, I got pictures.
They not the same. They have mirror tribes.
Mirror tribes.
Right. Where you have people with the same phenotype, culture, background.
Yeah,
right. So they mirror tribes. The tribes be separated for so long, they probably came from the same people, but over time and the geography they at, they not the exact same people. They just call kindred tribes at that point.
Yeah, we got more mixes. See over in America, we was the melting pot. So we more of an upgraded species than the Africans because we got more of the superior, like more different extra, like it's a whole list.
I think that came out like I don't think that came out right, but we have evolved differently than the people of Africa evolved. Most of the tribes on the West Coast from what they call the Niger Condorfian stock, which indicates sub-Saharan West Coast Africa, are plants from over here to over there. But we always intermarry over here in the royal families. This is what the breakdown in the European front royal families genetics was breaking down because they wasn't outsourcing foreign blood from other royal families because they was trying to maintain the appearance of what we call whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they didn't incorporate bloodlines from other tribes that was outside of their little tribal network, which causes the genetics to break down. Well, Americans been knowing about genetics from the beginning, so we always incorporated the royals from other parts of the world into our royal families' bloodlines to diversify the genetics. And most of the people from this land had old blood, so they was able to correct a lot of birth defects in foreign royal families. So it was calibrating the earth to a prime template of bloodlines.
Yeah, but a lot of people in Africa got old blood type too.
That's because they came from over here.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. We the same people, but we just upgraded. America people just a little bit more upgraded because we got more mixes than them. They more of an original potency
from leaving from over here. You know what I'm saying? Like they left from over here, but over time, say if we was them, right, and then different groups just came in and began mixing in with us, stronger groups, groups that were strong with us, and we just wanted to combine, like you say, combine our blood and this and that, and then we over time we just became a different species, but we the same, but we just more, we got more.
That's why you call them kindred tribes.
Yeah.
Y'all related, but you're not the exact same tribes no more.
Right. That's right.
Over time and separation.
That's right.
It's a kindred tribe.
That's exactly what
and the way you explaining it, people won't understand that us not being Africans and they trying to tie us back to Africa, what you saying.
Look, like
so that's why
what we need to do is we need to drop the word African, because when the time I'm talking about, the word African didn't even fucking exist.
Right.
Now I'm talking about, the word African didn't even exist. This land was one land almost when I'm talking, the time I'm talking. See, the African thing, we still trapped on the African thing. Oh, these people from Africa, and like we trying to separate the lands, like all this land is not one land. That's crazy. All this land is one land.
We not, the people that's born from the original bloodlines over here not responsible for the liberation of the continent over there.
Yeah, that's the way it is now. But
right, the ones over here responsible to liberate this continent over here.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem with that.
We still got to explain this for people that's watching, Elder.
Okay, go ahead.
So when you looking over there now, Garvey said it, Elijah said it, a couple more of the elders said it. When you see Africa start to liberate themselves from colonization, just know it's going to be being done all over the world.
Right.
Right. And the most visible expression of the total liberation of the continental people over there is the Ibrahim Traore story, and how he's picking up the mantle that Muammar Gaddafi laid down trying to unify the countries. He's more successful because Muammar Gaddafi's bloodline was Arab and they didn't trust him. Even though they didn't have a reason not to, but history is the foundation by which they didn't trust Gaddafi. They thought he had ulterior motives. But Ibrahim Traore, coming from the bloodlines of the land, looking like the people, they more likely to trust him. And when they see the success he's garnering in Burkina Faso, then it triggers I'm joining on with his program because it's working. We doing the same thing over here differently, right? We're on an information campaign that's just as critical as the gun running campaign. And this is why we have to make clarifications when we refer to the people from the continent over there, because you got people over here screaming we ain't gonna never be free if Africa ain't free, but they not finna go help Africa get free.
Right.
Right. So they tend to distract from the war at home. They don't want to pay attention to that war. It's too overwhelming. But if they can stand on this side of the ocean and talk about the war on the other side of the ocean, and they don't have to participate, then they the most gangsterous liberators Africa ever seen. But they ain't finna go over there. Right? Is unapologetically African as they might want to be, take your ass to Africa and help them get free. Because they doing it. They not talking about it. They literally living it. Whereas the tribes over here is doing from a different angle. We still fighting the same war. The physical progress you see taking place on the continent mirrors the unseen progress that we making over here. We taking over the algorithm of social media just to prove to them that more than one of us know what's going on. 5 years ago, there was only a handful of people telling us who we was. 5 years later, you got people from every tribe popping up on social media telling the real.
Mm-hmm.
You even got pale faces and $5 Indians doing it too. They know who he is.
Yeah. But you know what I think? You know what I think, Rod? I think once we get through separating everybody, and then we get down to it, it's gonna come back to what's your blood type. If we all got old blood type, we the same people spiritually, because the spirit is in the blood.
Well, based on the marriage and intermarriage between the bloodlines, that's not going to be a good standard any longer. It's going to expire because you're going to have A and B bloods being born to O blood parent, right? So
two O, you say 2 O have an A and B. That's happening.
Yeah. It used to be that when you cross certain blood types, the woman's body used to reject the fetus and she'd have a miscarriage. But they got drugs they giving the women now where they bypass this process.
Hey, well, whether people want to believe me or not, when they talking about the red hair kings that was in Utah, they talking about our peoples who put this red clay stuff in their head. They call it Bantu people, and they was in America, and they tied in with the Phoenicians as the same people. These people right here was in America too.
Well, you had people that looked similar, but they might not have been the same exact people. Remember, America had more diversified phenotypes than any other land. We had everything from chocolate dark to high yellow before 1492. People that could have passed for European that was full blood native. But that's a whole nother ball game. That ain't what we was. He's showing, yeah.
You know, somebody over here look like her, don't you? She look like my little sister.
There's a lot of the girls in the hood
These
look
are
like
Native
that.
Americans, man. These is Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they look like. They're gonna tell you Egypt. This is Egypt. We standing on right here. This is Kemet. Hey, but look here.
Go back to the very, very first picture of the one I told you to save for last.
Yeah. I'm about to go back to that like this. Hold on. Probably go to the rest of this stuff. I got a couple more slides. Here you go, right here.
That's the next picture.
You got it, Rod?
It's the next picture, Elder.
Oh, it's the next one.
That one. Okay, now look at the picture. Can you blow it up, Elder? Right. You see the one standing there in the back got an afro?
Yeah.
Okay, now they didn't call it an afro. Scroll down to the right, because the hairstyle is named after this tribe.
Oh, yeah.